This is episode 152 of Hebrews in Exile with our honorable teacher, Robert B. Holman Jr. and Sean Appleton. And we are going to continue our discussion of the mitzvots in this podcast. We started it in episode 151, and we're going to continue here in this podcast. So if you are interested, which I'm pretty sure you are, about mitzvots that can be done in exile, this is the podcast for you. Hebrews in Exile. You know what we do. Let's go.
You're the harvest. You're my life. You're a creation. You make everything right. Give me more power. Give me more love, yeah. Give me more passion.
This is Rabbi Robert B. Holman Jr. and
the Junior Rabbi Sean Appleton.
And this is Hebrews
in Exile.
Sean.
Rabbi.
There is a whole lot going on in our world that speaks volumes and connects with Scripture a ton. You and I speak before the people that are listening, and then there are people who are listening incognito. They don't want us to know they're listening. But they're listening.
Yeah. Agreed.
We know for sure that there is a church that sits up on the hill that listens to us because we hear the verbiage that comes out of their mouth of something that is only used often in this house, and I should go and really get a patent for it.
You should. You should, because I've seen it all. Matter of fact, not only is it being spoken out of off the stage, but it's being plastered all over Sacramento.
Truth matters. That's my phrase. I coined that. But I'm astonished in some sense, and I shouldn't be, but I am, that inquiring minds want to know.
Sure. I would think that, you've studied enough and been exposed at least to the Most High that you would want to at least know something a little bit deeper about the Most High.
I mean, yeah, you can't.
If you are preaching the gospel of truth matters, then evidently that's going to be something you're going to gravitate to.
Yeah, well, when we say truth matters, you have to wrap that phrase around whose truth.
Agreed.
See, when I use the phrase truth matters, it's not about my truth. Has nothing to do with my truth.
Yes.
Except for the fact that my truth resonates with the Most High's truth.
Correct.
So when I say truth matters, I'm speaking in relationship to that which has been given to Hebrew Israel by the Most High concerning the amulet nation of the eternal people which he created. and the governance that he has given them to live their life by. That's the only truth that matters.
Exactly. No, agreed. I totally agree with you.
The interesting part is that people want to know, but in some instances, they don't know where to go, or they don't want to go where they can get truth.
Yeah. And that's what grieves me, because when I think about that particular aspect, the latter, they want to go, but it seems like they can't. Dealing with those roadblocks as to why you necessarily can't go. Like there's something that you're placing as more of a priority other than understanding a truth about a particular matter. That the cost of learning truth and acquiescing to truth and implementing truth into your lifestyle is going to cost you way more than you wanted to. That there's no quick, easy fix. That if you actually dip your toe into the depth of the Most High and go subterranean, as we try to do with the Most High, that number one, there is no turning back. I've never met well, I shouldn't say that. There's plenty of people that's come through these doors, been exposed to truth, and can't confront it.
No, and you know that troubles me to some degree, because we've talked about the issue of guarding your soul.
Sure, yeah, we did a whole entire podcast on that.
There isn't anybody that I have ever heard talk about how you go about guarding your soul. There isn't anybody that I've heard talk about valuing your soul.
Sure. Yeah.
And the only way that you can guard your soul and value your soul is understanding how your soul connects to the one who created it.
Right.
And the only way you can know that is by being diligent enough, as you would if you just found out that you had a serious disease. Most intelligent people would begin researching on what it is and how to combat it. Particularly if it's life-threatening.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the things that we talk about are, I'm going to use the word cellular. They're germane to the soul.
Cellular.
Oh,
okay.
But they come out of the essence, or they come out of the narrative that the Most High has established for the soul. So we talk about a lot of things. We talk about culture. We talk about a lot of things. But while we're talking about that, inside of those dynamics, there are cellular issues that are germane solely to the soul of a man. And the problem with that is, I really don't believe that too many people value their soul. And I say that because it's not a critical topic. You're not going to hear on Sunday morning or Wednesday night Bible study or Tuesday night Bible study, you're not going to hear in any conference, you're not going to hear in any retreat a lesson on the value of your soul and how to protect it and guard it and value it. You're not going to hear it. I've never heard anybody talk about it. I've heard them talk about being saved.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty...
I mean, I'm saved. I guess that I'm saved. That takes care of my soul. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's like... it's like... I don't know. I can't think of what I'm trying to think of right now.
You know, it's one of these things where I think you just answered, or at least part of it, part and parcel, when you just said you're taught that, hey, you know, I'm saved and that's enough. You don't even value like the things that, you know, that are really important to the Most High, that are tantamount to the Most High, which are the mitzvots and obeying and walking in a lifestyle, because you've already been taught that someone else has done something for you. You don't have to worry about any of this stuff. Your ticket has been punched. You can just go about your day willy-nilly, and none of that stuff matters because everything was placed on a human sacrifice that was made for you. So there's no emphasis on that because of the fact that it's already been taken care of for you.
That's a problem.
It's yeah, it is a problem.
It's a problem. I mean, let me see. One of the biggest things in the world that scares the bejesus out of anybody is to go get a diagnosis that you have cancer.
Oh yeah.
That's the biggest. That's the C is the biggest thing at all. To be diagnosed, to say that your soul has cancer.
Yeah.
Doesn't shake anybody. It doesn't because it doesn't carry the same weight, because when you talk about cancer from a natural physical perspective, it's immediately identified with certain death. Sure. I mean, when I was diagnosed with it, I was like, oh, wow. You know what?
It's an eye opener, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got like, you have cancer. I had a somewhat of a resolve, but internally, I was somewhat traumatized. But the next step was to figure out, okay, what is the resolve?
Exactly. And that's ooh. I'm sorry, I don't know if this is where you were going with this.
No, it is. That's the question. That's the question. The question is, what's the resolve? Now, if I tell you that your soul has cancer, it doesn't bother you, it doesn't move you, you don't really care because as you stated, somebody else that really can't resolve it, you think has resolved it. And the interesting thing about this is that
because I'm getting ready to make an analogy with you with that one.
One of the things that's really, really critical with the C word is getting a late diagnosis.
Yeah.
See, when I had it early diagnosis. So they were able to get to it before it matriculated into my lymph nodes and what have you. But had it been delayed and it got into my lymph nodes, I probably wouldn't be here. And the point being is that when I tell you that your soul has cancer, that means that something has gotten into when you have cancer, something's gotten into your body that's creating that disease.
That's correct. That's correct.
So something's gotten into your soul that's created a disease that is designed to kill you and separate you from the one thing that you think you have life in.
Yeah. And the travesty, if I'm on the same wavelength as you with this whole entire analogy, is that sometimes when, at least, what's the one thing that we think of when we say cancer as a remedy or a cure or a treatment that they tell you to go under, which is chemo.
Yeah.
And in the process of chemo is the idea of introducing poison into the body in order to kill that particular cancer. But
and then the chemo becomes a greater destructor and breaking down of the body.
so when you say that a person has cancer on their soul and they decide to take a treatment that's poisoning the body even more with the attitude that you're going to eradicate it out of the body. And that's the issue. That's what's happening in that comic book across the street. You're continuing to poison the body with something that you think is trying to cure it.
Exactly. So here's what you do. Here's what happens. If you do not have good medical assistance available to you, and if you're really that serious about what's going on in your body, you might go, and if you trust your doctor, you'll accept his diagnosis.
Sure.
But a lot of people go and get a second opinion. And a third opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they value what's going on in their body, and the whole design of doing that is they're trying to find a source that's going to tell them and give them the peace of mind, I'm not going to die from this.
Right.
Or I am going to die from this, and I need to know how much time I have with it. A late diagnosis, you don't have a lot of time.
You don't. And as you're postulating there, the issue that is resonating in my mind is that you will do that with your own physical body. But like you're saying,
but
you
when it comes to
your soul, you will not get that second and third opinion. You'll go to whatever you in right now and say, that is the answer. And that ain't it.
You see, let's take another diagnosis, okay? Most people, a lot of people that have sugar.
They call it the sugar, yeah.
There used to be the verbiage, well, I just got a little sugar.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was kind of just cast off, oh, I just got a little sugar.
Yeah, folk in our culture know what the sugar is.
Yeah. But sugar diabetes is another, they really call it the silent killer. Because you have to stop doing something. You have to stop doing something and get your body back in a place where it can survive what's happening. But the doing something is connected to something that I like, which gets back to the analogies of the soul. See, the doctor says, well, you're going to have to stop eating starches and you're going to have to stop eating sugar.
Now,
but I like starches and I like sugar.
what is the doctor telling you to do? Inherently, he's telling you to do a mitzvot. He's not saying it, but he's telling you to do it. In our text, the Most High has created this body, and he tells you what to put in it. What is he telling you? You're going to have to get off all this stuff that is polluting the body. The body is telling you, because the mitzvots are been applied to that body. I was explaining to my brother over the weekend, I said, when the body was made on the 6th day, the Most High assigned mitzvots to it. Meaning that body is going to do what it's going to do, whether you like it or not. It's going to grow up. It's going to go through puberty. It's going to, if you're a woman, it'll go through changes and you'll go through menopause and all those types of things. The body has a thing that it's going to do. And ultimately it's going to get old. You can't stop any of that. Right? So therefore, I'm telling you, right in the beginning, Bereshit chapter 1, verse 29, on down, I'm telling you what to put in it. You have decided to go and pollute the body. The body is telling you through the mitzvots that the mitzvots have been placed on the body to say, hey, listen, this is how this body is supposed to function. And anything that's foreign in it, I'm going to let you know. I'm going to let your spirit, I'm going to let your soul know that something that you're putting in this body is wrong because it's violating the mitzvot that the Most High made for it. So what is the doctor inherently telling you to do? Eat healthy? What is that? What, follow the mitzvot of the Most High?
Well, here's the problem that we're dealing with. You know, we get back to this issue that we open with. Truth matters. Truth matters until it gets in the way of my lifestyle.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so true for a lot of people.
My lifestyle defines for me how I'm going to function. And how I'm going to function has nothing at all to do with any mitzvot that are tied to the Most High in relationship to the norm of most people. First problem, they don't know what a mitzvot is.
True.
2, they don't know what the Most High teaches.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, they are under the control of a chemotherapy treatment that's named JC.
Yes. It's a great analogy. Yes, absolutely.
And JC's going to fix it all. Well, it's interesting that a lot of people that take chemo doesn't fix it all.
So don't.
And they die taking chemo.
Mm-hmm.
So chemo didn't get it done.
No. No, sure didn't.
And JC's not going to get it done for your soul. Because JC is not the author. He's not the originator.
It's correct.
Of the things that are germane to the human being that was created by the Most High El.
Correct.
He has no part in it. He bleeds like you.
Mm-hmm.
And, God, we can't get away from it.
No, I mean, I agree with you.
We can't get away from it. So, here's the question, okay? So, if JC can't save me, and if JC can't protect my soul and help me guard my soul, then what am I to do? Where am I to go? What am I to do? What is the answer for my soul? You see, nobody's asking that question because nobody gives a damn.
You're right.
I mean, Sean, if the majority of people going to Sunday morning service, and oh my God, we're not even going to talk about the fundamental Christians. Oh my God. They don't value that which is the most critical aspect of who they are, because somehow it's been erased off of the chart. All I know is, well, when I die, I'm going to heaven. No, you're not. and the second part of that issue, you're concerned about the death of the house.
Right.
See, you're concerned about the death of the house. You don't realize that the soul don't die. The house just stops. But the soul continues to function. It continues to reside in a state, in a holding place, awaiting a time when it's going to be resurrected for judgment. And you don't have a doggone clue. You're hoping. I hope.
Yeah, that's excellent word. Hope. Yeah. Ain't got nothing to...
So I come back to this issue we started with. Truth matters. Inquiring minds want to know. While the text in Isaiah tells us to come buy without money, without anything, just come and get this.
It's free. Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah.
And yet and still, the price is too high.
It's too great. Yeah.
The price is too high.
It's going to cost me too much.
Yeah, I mean,
not monetarily, but
let's go back to the analogy, okay? When I had my cancer experience, the doctor gave me a dietary book that had things in it that I could eat and things I shouldn't eat with cancer in my body.
Okay.
Now, it was up to me to read it and adjust my lifestyle according to it. Even if I objected to it, the issue on the table was life and death.
That's right. That's right.
The price doesn't get too high when the matter is life and death. And the problem is for us is we equate life to this, to what we're looking at. We don't attribute life connected to the soul.
Right.
We only connect life as it relates to the house that's carrying the soul.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
So we're concerned about the house more than we are concerned about the soul.
Yeah.
So the issue is, I'm adjusting my lifestyle to preserve the house.
Okay. Come on.
Nobody's adjusting the lifestyle to preserve the soul, because the soul has not been put in a place of significant importance. You're not going to hear nobody talk about the soul. You're not going to go to church and hear anybody give you a lesson or a sermon about the soul.
Yeah, exactly.
You get a motivational speech. You get you'll get a scripture read, and then we go to
right,
and we'll get into this. I think preachers were the first rappers.
They probably were. I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
I mean, because you get off text and you go to start rapping. You begin to go start rapping text, and you start rapping stuff that has nothing at all to do with the soul. It becomes strictly an issue of motivation and entertainment.
And that's the sad part about it.
I don't go to my doctor for him to entertain me about life and death.
Right. So you're getting to the issue of really down and dirty with people's even motivation to hear. They don't even have an ear to hear anything, because literally, like we said before, when I go to a chemistry class at a university, why are we learning about pop culture in here? I'm not here to listen about your views about the Democrats and the Republicans. I'm here to learn about chemistry. What does that got to do with anything else? My intention is come to learn this particular issue. So it's almost the motivation of the people saying that I'm coming to hear this. I don't necessarily want to hear about things of antiquity and how my soul is important to me. I want to know about how I can get me a man next week in this climate of westernized culture. I want to know how to keep my lights on my house. And I want to know how Jesus is going to fix it. That's what I want to hear. Because that's all old and done away with. See, this is what we were talking about before. It's almost, I'm going to use this word, it's almost diabolical how all these blockers have been put in place that every single turn over there across the street, when you try to acquiesce and come out, there's something pulling you back. It's like it's engineered in a way where at least they had enough fortitude and forethought to say the key to getting back to the Most High is through understanding how important your soul is, and doing such, what is important to the Most High, and who is important to the Most High, and what piece of real estate is important to the Most High. We have to eradicate all of that to the point where you become so deaf, dumb, blind, and happy to what's going on, you're not even looking for it. How do we get a people that are immediately enamored with being blind? I would rather be blind than to understand the things that are germane to the Most High. They're not even they're being engineered. There's this propaganda. There's the business of the day is to sell this agenda. And you continue to see the degradation of a culture. Not to say that, westernized culture is supposed to survive, but
what bothers me is that there are inquiring minds, and those inquiring minds won't make the effort to resolve and learn.
Well, okay. How do we help them get over that hump to say, okay, you have an inquiring mind. It is okay to seek out the information. You are not going to be condemned. The Most High is not going to stick his fist down your throat because you decided to go challenge the things that you're hearing over there across the street.
Well, the problem is that we get back to a statement that you made earlier. Who said we can't question? Because, see, most pastors don't want you to question them.
That's right.
They don't want you to ask questions outside of their purview of knowledge, and then they challenge you and say, well, it's my job, you're to obey me because I'm watching for your soul. Well, now we get back, if you're saying you're watching for my soul, then watch your mouth, Robert. Watch your mouth, Robert. What are you teaching me that's protecting my soul? You die, now who's going to protect my soul? The next yokel that comes up? Come on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You see, my father called me a rascal.
called you a rascal, huh?
Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons why he called me a rascal was because I was always outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
I'm challenging. I'm asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm teaching stuff he's not teaching.
Mm-hmm.
One of them called me a heretic. Because I preached a sermon one Sunday, you say that you are gods.
Mm-hmm.
That was in text.
Right.
And I preached that.
Uh-huh.
They was in an uproar. One of the preachers on the pulpit, they was in an uproar. Oh, Roberts, that's a heretic. My dad said, no, that's not a heretic message. What Robert told you in that message was true. He said, the only thing I wished he would have done before he preached it, I wished he would have taught the lesson so you'd understand.
Yeah, because there was nothing wrong with the
You see, so the issue is amongst the religious populace, they are afraid to question.
And that's what we got to get to. We got to get to this point of saying every aspect. This is getting back to your point, which is coming. We keep circling around. We keep circling the airport with this whole entire thing. It's getting back to the issue of saying, okay, what is important? You will question everything. I used this analogy an earlier podcast. We got an election coming up here in the United States. There is so much TV, press, all kinds of coverage. You know everything about these candidates and where they're going and what they're doing and what platform they're standing on. Things you're investing time into understanding what they're talking about. But again, when it comes to the issues that are germane to your soul, you won't ask those same questions because somehow somebody is supplanted in your mind that asking the simple question, why? You said it earlier off camera. Individuals know, but they won't take that step forward to go and seek the information. My creed moving forward from here on out is I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything.
No.
I'm going to give you the data.
No.
I want you to own the data. I want you to do the research for yourself and find it out for yourself. Just because somebody's on some stage with some microphone in some pulpit or whatever, don't make it necessarily so.
No. And here's the issue. Kenya, I hear you. The people are taught not to question God. But he's not the one being questioned.
Exactly.
It's the ones who are speaking for him that are being questioned because they don't know squat about the Most High El. If I said this the other day, if people really knew the Most High, their attitude in life would be so much different because he is the one that has the authority to give life. He has the authority to take life. So they're afraid. They've been taught not to question God, but they're not questioning God. They're questioning what you said about God.
Right. Because it don't line up.
Because it doesn't line up.
And then you give some half cockamamie answer. I need to go no further than an example we gave before. Pastors are on a stage and they're asked people, the people in the audience are asking. They had this little soiree, this little charrette going on where they said, we're going to answer the questions of the people. And as they're answering the questions of the people with their laptops on stage, a question arose. And it says, why don't we worship on the Shabbat? You preach the 10 Commandments. That's the fourth one. Why don't we worship on the Shabbat? And they gave some cockamamie answer at the end of the day, which basically said this, because that we can choose what day is holy.
Well, hold on. Stop right there. That's so Catholic. That is so Catholic. The Catholic popes have said, and they have written in documents, that we changed the Sabbath to Sunday because we could.
Because we
Not
can.
because of any direction from God. We did it because we could. That's the same answer that they're giving there.
Yep, absolutely. But it gets back to the issue of saying we're reading what's in front of us, and our leaders are telling us to go against what's actually in text. Why don't we just acquiesce to what the Most High is doing? Why give this trumped up answer by saying we can change stuff to fit? That's just like when we get over to, see, I'm over in Hebrews now, Hebrews chapter 7, when they got that egregious line in there and says, hey, this is a Kohen Hagadol that fits our needs. We're going to change. There's no need for Torah anymore. If we're going to go with a different Kohanim Hagadol, then there's a necessity to change the Torah. They acknowledge that. How in the world do we miss all of this stuff? Because, again, like you said, we have people are challenging the people that are on stage that are presenting the information, and it don't line up.
And here's what I want to say to them. You have a right to get a reason. See, the text says, give every man a reasonable answer for the hope that lies within them. Mm-hmm. A reasonable answer, not a concocted answer, but a reasonable answer. That's over there. Makes sense. That's over in their text. Mm-hmm. See? Mm-hmm. But they can't do that because they're too far down the rabbit hole themselves.
Right. Right.
You see? And so when you talk about things that are germane to spirituality, they get spirituality mixed up with religion. Mm. See, you are a spiritual individual, whether you want to claim it or not. You are a spiritual individual because you have been made by the Spirit and you have Spirit DNA in you.
Very true.
Now, because you don't know what that is, doesn't negate the fact that you are. Mm-hmm. 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 I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious.
Agreed. And
I'm spiritual not because I follow the mitzvot. I'm spiritual because I was made by the Spirit, and the Spirit has put a certain component within me that when it awakens, it wants to be connected with that which has made it, which is spirit.
Eloquently put.
And so when I connect with that which is spirit, it resolves, and now I have the medicine. I have the antidote to combat the cancer that was in my soul. I'm no longer spiritually cancerous. My soul is no longer spiritually cancerous because I've applied the medicine to it that has resolved the problem that it had.
Right.
What did it lack? It lacked the nutrition of Torah. It lacked the understanding of Torah and how Torah connects to the whole composition of man. So now I sleep better. I'm not any longer concerned about saved.
That's right.
Saved is a construct that happens to be something that has to do with a whole different period of time, and not this one. But I'm preparing my soul,
yes,
so that when that time comes, it can connect and acquiesce to that which is going to be its eternal preserver, which is Torah.
Absolutely. Wow. Man, oh man.
You see, I have to explain to people, just because we come to congregation doesn't make us religious, although it's a religious act. I'm I religiously get up every day and wash my face. I religiously get up every day and brush my teeth. I religiously go to the store. I religiously go take a walk. I religiously go to the golf course. There are a lot of things that you do religiously that have nothing to do with spirituality.
Okay. Okay.
The fact that I come to this building every Shabbat does not make me religious. It's a religious act because I do it every Shabbat. But that's not the issue.
It's okay.
I function in a religious norm because so much of life is religiously done.
I understand you. I can understand you.
I mean, what's difficult about what I said?
No, because it's a.
What's difficult about what I said?
There's nothing difficult about what you said. It is clearly.
You religiously wash your hands after body.
True, that's true. It's an issue of semantics, though.
Don't take me there. Oh my God! Don't take me there.
Yes.
When you. Come on, Robert, don't do it.
So you got him walked out last time.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm curious what you was gonna do.
Don't do it.
It's, yes, one could explain it that way. Oh, one could also explain it as a lifestyle that you lead.
I can't. It won't leave my mind. I can't say that.
Well, why don't you just whisper it to me and I'll say it?
I can't say that.
Then you won't have to.
I can't say that.
They can beat me up.
There are a lot of things that we do religiously that are a norm to who we are as an individual, and that's a norm to our body.
Sure.
So don't. Well, I'm not. Well, yes, you are religious. I'm not religious in the context that you want to use the word religious. I'm not that. But I am spiritual because I'm made up of the composition. The Spirit made me.
Yes.
So since the Spirit made me, it makes me spiritual. And He's put within me a component that longs to connect with that which has made me.
Agreed.
I mean, come on. What's the issue with being saved? Being saved is you want to be spiritually connected to the one who supposedly you said made you. He didn't. And the interesting, I got to put my tablet up now.
Let me go on over here to this B3 real quick.
I want to tell you something right now. The one who said that He was God manifested in the flesh. I just want to know when He went up on the mountain and He bowed down to pray. I want to know, who was He praying to? Was He praying to Himself? I'm come to tell you, He said He was God manifested in the flesh, so He's praying to Himself, right? Come on, man. Come on, dude.
I should have gave you a beat because you said that you was rapping right now. Now, our people. I
don't know. I think that's all I got to say tonight.
Let's reiterate an issue, a point. I think out of everything that's there, because everything is circling around this one issue, which is trying to help individuals understand that it's okay. It's okay to go and seek information. Truth matters. If I'm listening to all the points that we're hitting here tonight, it's really trying to get an individual's mind to understand that you do have something going on inside you. You do need to make a connection back to the Most High. And don't let where you're personally at right now, if it is over in Christianity or Islam or wherever it may be, prevent you from getting back to the ways of the Most High and understanding who He is, because maybe something somewhere was supplanted inside you that says, I can't question those things. Yes, you most certainly can.
Yes, you can.
You can go and get an understanding. I suggest to anybody, take this book, Start at the beginning and read it for yourself. Strip all that religion off of there.
If you question what your doctor says, why can't you question what and get answers to what the Most High has said?
Listen, that preacher that you jumped into earlier, he has no ability to condemn you to no place. Just because you think he's going to sit you down somewhere or kick you out of the church, or you're going to get excommunicated, or you're going to be something out of the community, that don't mean jack squat.
You'll get silenced.
Do the research for yourself.
You know, if a preacher wants to silence me because I ask him a question that has to do with the Most High, silence me, because now I need to go somewhere where I can find I can get some answers.
Exactly.
Because what you just told me is you can't answer me.
Right. And don't be, because we live in Oz, and you got these cowardly lions out here. Like I said, the cowardly lion, like in the movie The Wiz, is doing all this boisterous talking, and then doing all this boisterous talking, and then at the end of the day, when you present him with something, he's running away from it.
Why don't you carry on this conversation while I excuse me?
I am gonna carry this conversation because we're gonna talk about this. He said I done messed up so bad. This man done walked off. This is the second podcast. He done walked off because of something I said. We live in Oz. I'm gonna talk to you just like you in front of me, even though I know you're not there. We live in this issue of Oz. And Oz is obviously this fictitious place. We have individuals, and I talked about that. We have individuals that are boisterous about what they know. But again, when you place truth at the front door, they will run like a coward. If you are at a point where if anybody challenges you on a text, and you got to run to your pastor, your deacon, there's a problem that's there. I asked the question, and I will continue to keep asking the question. If it's an issue about being saved, if your soul is what is so tantamount to you, and you don't want to die and go to hell, let's deal with that issue for a second. When was hell made and who made it? Because I read in text that the Most High made everything in the first 6 days. So if hell wasn't made, or the Most High just forgot to mention it through his servant Moshe, then who made it and when was it made? Hell doesn't even show up until the New Testament. If you can't answer that question for yourself, and you got to go ask somebody else, that's what I'm getting at. That's, I think, the point that we're trying to make up here. If you've got things that are over there in the New Testament that are not jiving, you are owed a reasonable explanation. And the best way to get that explanation, I'm going to tell you what, is you got to go all the way, roll the clock back, roll it all the way back, start at the top. Let's strip everything out. Listen, this is not so difficult. It's not rocket science over here. When the Most High says, observe the Shabbat, the seventh day, and rest on it, you don't need a schematic to understand when the Shabbat is. Now, there may be some question about interpersonal issues about what you consider work, laborious work, creation work, all those types of things. But there is no question that the Shabbat is set aside as a holy convocation and the day that you're supposed to observe it. There are things that are over there that are easy to understand. But then when you have this doctrine that goes ahead and tries to eradicate it, you'll never get to a point of understanding a truth about the Most High and give you some type of understanding and a deeper subterranean connection with the Most High. You'll never get there because everything is so surface. All I'm saying, I'm not getting into debate. I'm looking at the camera because I'm going off. I'm glad you came back. I am not getting in a debate with anybody. I am presenting the data upon which I've read in this text. Presenting it, I expect you to do your own research, do your own expository research on the text. Find out for yourself. That way you build confidence in what you know, instead of relying on some man to tell you what it was. You let the Most High tell you what it is. And in that way, you can go back and say, listen, I can take you to the street address or where that can be found, and that's the way I live my life. Not through some contradictory text that's over here that I can't explain and I got to go run to somebody else. You wouldn't be surprised that happen. I know people out there, y'all watching on that video scope, that you got people that you'll challenge them about stuff that's over there in our text and they will run from you. And that's the bottom line at the end of the day. Own the information, be unmoved about asking the simple question. It's a 3-letter word. Why? Why? Get an understanding about why, and this whole entire text will open up to you.
Listen, I have talked, this, what I'm talking about and what we're talking about is something that is very high on Yahweh's list of importance. Mm-hmm. And the thing that's high on the Father's list of importance is protecting and valuing your soul and learning how to do that. Mm-hmm. If you're in a place where nobody is teaching you how to do that, leave. Because it's like a late diagnosis. By the time you figure it out, it could be too late.
Absolutely.
There isn't anything. The house is not valuable. This body is not valuable. The soul is the most valuable part about you. It's going to reside forever, and it's going to have to pay the price for what the house has done. And the house is going to be in the dust laughing. I mean, I'm just speaking what's real and what's true.
Yeah.
Because I get back to the issue that we opened with, and that is truth matters. The question is, whose truth? The only truth that matters is the truth that is germane to what the Most High has said as to how what he has created is supposed to live and function, because you are a spiritual being, whether you claim it or not. You are. If you're not spiritual, why are you praying? Why are you praying? Why are you praying to the Spirit if you're not spiritual? What do you want? What do you want to happen? What do you think? What do you think? Who do you think the Most High is? He's not a man. He's a spirit. And they that worship him will have to worship him in that facet of truth matters. They that worship him will worship him in spirit and in truth. I mean, hey, not in error, in truth. But you're not getting truth. You're getting error. And I'm sorry, I speak to you like a prophet. You're getting error. And the Most High hates it, because he's watching the destruction of his people over error. And because the leaders refuse, the Kohanim, the leaders, the pastors, the teachers, they refuse to study for truth, because they want to be like everybody else. Let me see how many people I can bring into my building. Let's see how much money I can bring into my building. That's not what's important to the Most High. The day is coming where that's not going to matter one bit. And all the while, your soul is taking chemo that eventually is going to kill it, because nobody's teaching you how to value and protect the most intricate part of who you are, your soul. Well, that's all I got to say tonight. I'm sure some more is going to come up, but I wake up and I'm not even sure that I'm awake. But my mind early in the morning begins to meditate on the matters and the intricate aspect of the Most High and who he is to me. Mm-hmm. And how he feels about his people in this world. I've been studying and teaching out of the book of Isaiah, and Isaiah is just Yeshayahu 40 chapter, starting at chapter 40 to the end of the book, just starts to capulate your mind to understand really how the Most High really feels. And I wake up, or I'm not awake, I'm somewhere in the twilight zone of thought, and I start meditating on the things that are germane to the Most High and his people. And it disturbs my spirit to watch them fumble around and bumble around in a theology that wasn't even designed for them, and serve an entity that wasn't even designed for them. And understand that they don't even know who the Most High is, and despise the mentioning of his name, Yahweh. And will correct me when I say there is no name given among men whereby you can be redeemed or saved other than the name of Yahweh. They will correct me verbally. Jesus! I go, oh my God, you just profane and blaspheme the name of the Most High, and you don't even know it. I have to tell you, Sean, many times, I now know, having read the majority of all the prophets,
yeah.
I now know and I understand how they felt. I understand Lamentations very well. I understand why Jeremiah was called the weeping prophet.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard.
He's looking at his people and he's trying to figure out what in the world is wrong with you all. What's wrong with you? You don't get it. You don't understand. You don't understand how grieved the Most High is over where you are in this idolatrous situation that you're in. You don't understand how grieved he is, to the point that it brings you to tears.
No. I'm with you.
I hear Daniel ask a question. What about my people? Well, you're getting ready to find out. You're getting ready to find out. And as I close out this podcast, I'm going to say this. If the next president of the United States of America is that guy, the whole world is going to be shaken once again by his presence sitting in the highest position in the world as president of the United States of America. With that being the case, Hebrew Israel is going to find out. They're going to find out real quick. And I'm going to say to you again, it won't change a thing. The Hebrew people who don't know their Hebrew Christians, black, white, don't care whatever you are, will simply adjust to the situation and continue on as they've gone. My prayer is that I hope that the Most High does not judge us that way, because in text he says, I will give them leaders after their own heart.
Mm-hmm.
I would hate to think that the majorities of the population of the world's heart is that wicked.
Mm-hmm.
He destroyed a whole people because of wickedness. If he did it once, he'll do it again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know,
every great nation that thought they were all that in a slice of bread have fallen. The United States of America is the next one to fall. My prayer is, Father, don't let it fall in my day.
Okay, you're going to have to stop talking, Noah.
Don't let it fall in my day. Let me be asleep if that's going to be the majority's issue. And once again, truth matters.
Yeah. You know what gives me a sense of, I have made mention of this. I know we're trying to end this off, but we just stand here for a second and we're resting on this issue. I had made mention in this last Shabbat that I spoke that it's very difficult being Hebraic.
Oh, absolutely.
It is one of the most difficult things to understand, to see.
Being a true Hebrew.
Yeah, being a true Hebrew, to understand and see the world as we see it. We see the declination of our relationships between our own people. We see the declination of a country. And this is what gives me, I guess, peace at the end of the day, because as we're sounding off like our ancestor, I said that word Noach earlier, because what was Noach doing? Exactly what you're sitting there doing there right now, which is sitting there telling the people, it's coming. Hurry up and get on board. But what did they do? They decided that they just wanted to okay. And then when it comes and you're beating on the door, you're trying to save your own hide, and you still won't turn to the ways of the Most High. But this is what gives me peace at the end of the day. It's to understand that we are trying to be the sounding board to get the people back to where they are, because the Most High is working a miracle. I shouldn't say a miracle, but is working. We're part of a working plan, which is to understand one of the greatest miracles that the Most High is working is the reclaiming of a people out of the state that they're actually in. When you look at how bad it is and how bad it's going to get, and this probably wasn't even close to what our ancestors went through in the time of Noah, where he had to wipe out the earth.
Yeah.
To have that to say that at the end of the day, when all this is over with at this end of this dispensation of time, that the Most High is going to reclaim his people.
Right.
And we're just a part of that process of the sounding board to say that, hey, to our descendants, we walked in those ways, and we're trying to get you to do that too, and bring everybody along with us and put us in a state we're in good standing with the Most High. But at the end of the day, I mean, it is difficult. And I mean difficult. We cannot go back to sleep.
No.
We can't get inserted like Cypher, that individual that was in the Matrix that gave up the information on where all the individuals were because he couldn't stand being outside of the Matrix anymore. He wanted to be inserted back into the Matrix. That's not us.
No.
We have to fight for the things that are important and tantamount to the Most High.
You know what we sound like?
What's that?
We sound like the prophets.
Exactly. And we're sorry that word has been defamed and blown out of proportion everywhere else in the world, but that's exactly what we're doing.
We sound like the prophets. I'm just going to say it. I didn't say I was a prophet. I said we sound like the prophets.
All right.
Well, this has been Rabbi Robert B. Holman Jr.
And the junior Rabbi Sean Appleton.
And this has been
Hebrews in Exile. Shalom.